Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do Psytrance Squelches and we're going to sequence it in such a way that you can use it as maybe a lead sound, or it would be like a helper in your mix, and it's going to sound something like this. One thing I wanted to mention before we get started is that I will be making use of some external plugins for delays and reverbs, but I think you don't have to have the same plugins as I'm showing you here. Whatever you have should be working just as fine for you. So as you can see, we have a patch over here that I created, but we will scrap this and we'll try to do it from scratch. So first of all, let's mute this and then create a new instance of Faceplant. So when you first open Faceplant, it's going to be something like this. It's just pretty empty. We want to create an analog oscillator, and we're just going to use a simple saw wave. First, we want to change the amp envelope to be something like this. So it's more plucky. The sound is going to be more plucky, basically. And to create the Squelch pitch modulation, we're going to use a modulating envelope, which you can find out right here. So if you go to envelope, and I believe I did something like this, and then I kind of curved it, so you can do this to your liking. But so this envelope is going to modulate the pitch of the oscillator, the saw wave. And here we want to do -24. So if you hold down Shift and then rotate around it, you can get a finer result. So if we go here and then let's just see how this sounds first. So as you can see, it's pretty basic, just a simple zap sound, but we want to give more life to the sound. So first off, we want to add the bandpass, which is like a usual suspect. So if we push the Q a little bit, and let's see how this sounds with the bandpass. As you can see, the bandpass filter gives it like that classic Psytrance sounding feel. So I want to modulate this filter right here. And what I use to modulate it is actually a macro. It gives me a better chance to automate it within Cubase. Say that I want to draw some automation lines over here, something like this. You can actually do that with macro, but I'm not sure if you can automate Faceplant effects parameters within Cubase. I've never done that before. I think I tried it once, but it really didn't work. So you can just do the macro right here. The second step to modulating your filter actually comes from this randomization right here. So what I did is, instead of applying this to the cutoff, I applied it to the macro. So we can do something like this. As you can see, our filter is being modulated, but it's super slow because you need to kind of speed it up right here. I think I had a summer here, maybe right below 10,000. And I kind of just left it running free. I didn't sync it or anything, because then if it's just running free, you're kind of getting more randomized modulations, which is something we want in Psytrance. So I believe I did a lot of smoothing, so my filter wasn't like super choppy. It was kind of like gliding in and out, because we're gonna create that like choppiness with our MIDI notes. So this is too low at the moment. Let's actually bring it up a little bit. Let's hear how this sounds now. So as you can see, this is getting heavily modulated by our randomizer. I think I actually had this on unipolar as well. So you can maybe drop down a macro a little bit. So it's just going higher from the point that you leave it on. I think one thing I did is that I put a transient shaper, because I want like that first millisecond of my Squelches to be kind of like punchy. It's like pew, you know. So it's kind of zapping a bit more. And for that, I think I just made it like a tiny bit, you know, more attacky, like more punchy, just for the transient though. So maybe I'll play this and then see if you guys can hear the difference. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys could hear that, but there's like a slight, if you're on your maybe headphones or studio monitors, you can hear that like slight attack in our Squelch sound. So that's just something I wanted. The second thing I think I added was a phaser. So I just put this on second lane. Let's hear how this sounds. The reason behind adding the phaser comes from creating some sort of like a stereo width to the sound, especially if the sound is complementing your main lead or any other lead sounds in your mix. It's always good to have something on the sides to create that stereo width in your entire mix, if that makes sense. So I think I just wanted to increase this input gain right here. And the last thing within phase plan I want to do is to put a distortion unit. And I think I just pulled this mix down a bit and I left it on overdrive. And it was pretty much like this. So in order to create something like a sequence sound with this kind of sound design, you need some really short meter notes. And I already created a MIDI pattern right here. I'll just copy it to my new channel right here. So I did something like this. You guys can copy this. I'm writing this track in F sharp. And you can just play around with whatever sequence works for you the best. Let's just hear how this sounds by itself without any processing of, you know, delays or reverbs first. That's just how it sounds by itself. And so we will just add some, so I'm gonna low cut it first, of course, because in Psytrance, you know, we leave that space for a kick and bass. Second thing I want to do is to add some sort of panning to the sound, just so we have more of like a stereo width. For that, we can use some like Pan Man. Cool, let's add some delay to it. And the last thing we want to do is to add some reverb. For that, we can use Valhalla Plate. Well, actually, one thing I want to do is to swap the place of color copy our delay and reverb, so that we don't give any reverb to our delay. So the way, you know, these plugins work is that they are working in a sequential way. It applies the reverb first, and then we do the delay on top of the reverb, if that makes sense. And the last thing we want to do with our sound is to add another low-cut filter to it, because as soon as we add the, you know, the color copy and the reverb and everything, they tend to affect our low end as well. So we just want to kind of get rid of that. Alright, so that's how I do a Psytrance Squelch sequence to be used in our Psytrance songs. Of course, there are so many different ways to use Squelch and Psytrance production, but this is just one way that I kind of found to be helpful for my songs and everything, and I thought it would help you guys out too. If you guys have any comments, any questions, concerns, please let me know down below in the comments, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.